Thanks for joining us. You are at Ready to Roll Bike Safety 101. This is a 30-minute webinar, and we're happy to join you. My name is Ariadne Scott. I'm the Assistant Director of Active Mobility for Stanford Transportation, and I manage all things bike related on the campus. I've been car free for over 25 plus years, and I'll turn this over to Anna to have her tell you a little bit about herself.
Awesome. Thanks, R. My name's Anna. I work for a company called Bikes Make Life Better, and we work with lots of other companies in Silicon Valley on their bike programs. So we've been lucky enough to work with Stanford on their bike programs, amazing bike programs for, I think, the last 5 years. I've also been car free for 10 plus years. I can't wait to be able to say like more than like 2 decades. That's incredible. But I live in San Francisco and I ride my bike everywhere. And when I'm not riding my bike, I'm taking public transit.
And we all miss riding right now. So for sure we miss commuting. So we're glad that you're here with us today. And if you have any questions, you can enter them in the Q&A. And we will send out a recap of any questions that come up or are entered. And we'll also send out a recap of a list of our bike resources that we have shared prior. I was looking through the archives, and during shelter in place in 2020, we did 17 webinars and had over 450 participants. So we thank you for joining us today to learn more about bike safety and be a safe rider. So on with the show. A little bit about Stanford and bikes. We've been spinning our wheels on the Stanford campus since 1891. This photo was taken in front of historic Encina Hall. These are the Encina Wheelmen. We are a platinum level bicycle-friendly university designated by the League of American Bicyclists. We were the first to be recognized at the platinum highest level, and we were rewarded a 3-time renewal. But we don't want to rest on our laurels, so we want to continue raising the bar when it comes to bike safety, and educating our community of riders is one of those target goals too. We have over 13,000 bikes on the campus daily when we're not sheltering in place. Over 19% of university commuters ride bikes. We have over 18,000 bike parking spaces on the campus and have over 12 miles of designated bike lanes. So we're going to go through quickly the top 10, what we've identified to be the bike safety tips that you need to know. So if you're new to the Stanford campus or just want to refresh what you need to know, we welcome you.
Ariadne, I'll let you do this one.
So the first one, what we feel is one of the most important things, along with following the rules of the road for every ride, is to wear a helmet for every ride. So just like you put your seatbelt on, you want to put your helmet on for every ride, even for short trips. Most people feel, oh, I'm just going down the street, I don't really need my helmet. But most crashes occur within 3 miles of where you live. So we want you to wear a helmet. As I commented in the last session, over 60% of the people joining reported wearing a helmet. So we thank you for being a safety advocate. It is the law if you're under 18. We do have a dedicated website called Love Your Brain that features a lot of testimonies from students who have crashed, and they report, what they've learned. And the thing that comes up all the time is they always say, I never thought it would happen to me. And I think both Anna and I can relate to that. I've crashed on my bike. It wasn't my fault. One time I was going too fast, but one time, it just comes out of the blue. And so to be more concerned about your safety and protect your most valuable asset, love your Stanford brain and wear a helmet. Wearing a helmet, you can reduce the risk of moderate injuries by 50%, serious injuries by 62%, and severe head injuries by 75%. And these same data numbers are echoed by our director of trauma, Dr. David Spain, who treats people at Stanford Emergency. I'll also include in the recap notes a powerful video crash course on concussions made by Dr. Pia Sokar, a Stanford affiliate with the School of Medicine. And she recounts the story of a Stanford alumni, Kate Courtney, who was the world mountain bike champion who crashed on her bike and suffered a traumatic brain injury and recovered. And it's a pretty compelling story of her recovery. And they do an amazing brain fly through that just shows the inner workings of how your brain works and all the blood vessels. And once you see that, the precious content of your brain, you will wear a helmet. A little bit of data, just so people know, it's our undergrads that we really target in educational campaigns. Reported usage by our undergrads is pretty low, 11%. As you get a little smarter and stay longer at Stanford, our grad students are 45%, postdocs 71, and of course the highest are our university affiliates with the hospital, 84%. So we want those numbers to increase. We realized from all our data and research, undergrads really just don't understand the risks of behavior when they're young. And that's sort of proven in the data too. The longer you're at Stanford, the more you realize you want to protect your investment in your brain, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I always like to think, what would my mom say, if I ever go out, not wearing a helmet, which I never do. I just got a new helmet actually, because you're supposed to get a new one every so often, especially after you are in a crash. And unfortunately, I did get into a crash this summer, but it was my first in the decade that I have daily biking. So, I'm okay. Everything is okay. But I was really happy that I was wearing my helmet. So steps for fitting a helmet. A lot of people aren't sure how to fit helmets. So we're just going to go over it quickly right now. The first thing to know is helmet should fit kind of in the middle of your forehead, square across your head. You don't want to just generally be able to shake your head and have it bobble around. You also don't want it to be so tight that it's uncomfortable and you don't want to wear it. So first, make sure it's fitting square across your forehead. Next is to make sure that the straps are fitting around your ears properly. So you can see in this diagram that they make kind of a Y shape around her ears. The next thing you want to make sure is that it is snug enough on your chin, but not too snug. So I like to be able to put like either 1 or 2 fingers between my chin and the chin strap of my helmet. And then the third or fourth thing that you can do to fit your helmet is there's usually a little wheel that attaches to a cage inside the helmet. And if you twist the wheel one direction, that cage will tighten. If you twist it the other direction, the cage will expand. So then you can get kind of a tighter fit using that mechanism in the back. Yeah, so that's basically how you fit a helmet. The straps can also adjust their length. So there'll be little adjustments like by the buckle and also kind of where the chin straps come in. So you can always make those longer or shorter depending on what you need. But I totally agree with Ariadne. Protect your brain. It's an important asset. And especially in our American context, wearing a helmet is really important.
The campus bike shop sells helmets discounted at $25, which it's a really nice helmet and they have a good selection. The campus bike shop is open now during shelter in place and they follow all the COVID protocol. And people always ask, how do I know, the best helmet? All the helmets sold in the United States have to pass the Consumer Product Safety Commission's regulations. They have a CPSC sticker. And then they all meet those regulations. And then you can invest, in a higher price helmet that will have more features. And a lot depends on the fit of the helmet, the style of the helmet. I was looking at a Loomis helmet today that has embedded lights in the front and in the rear. You can buy, accessories to trigger like signals, turning left, turning right on your helmet too. So I think we'll continue to see these advancements in helmet design.
Definitely. No, that's a good reminder.
Register your bike. So Stanford Public Safety now manages bike registration. It's all online and it's free. It's with Project 529. It's a great, easy platform. It provides legal ownership of your bike if it's lost or stolen. It's a simple process. All you do is enter your name, your information, email, you take a photo of your bike and upload it. And then you have proof if for some reason your bike is lost or stolen. They have a platform where you can blast out, hey, I lost my bike, be on the lookout for it. You can actually go on the site and Google Stanford and you can see how many bikes have been reported that have been stolen for more visibility. And then public safety, they do recover bikes. So if your bike is found, they can check Project 529 and identify you as the owner and call you up and say, hey, we found your bike.
Definitely. Yeah, it's much easier to file a police report if you ever need to, if you have all your information in one place. So great advice. Okay, so the third safety tip we want to share is to be visible at night. You wouldn't drive your car without lights, and the same applies to riding your bike at nighttime. So we'll talk a little bit more about this on the next slide. So just so you know, you can be ticketed for not using lights. It's technically the law. And it also is just going to help keep you safe. So not only is it going to help you see where you're going by having a front light that illuminates the path in front of you, it will let others know either oncoming, or coming up from behind, like that you're there, and to, create space for you essentially. So just for some statistics, 1/5 of bike trips are at night, but 50% of fatalities are in the dark, according to some 2015 data. And we're not here to like scare you. If anything, like I really want to instill a joy of biking in you, but it's good to be safe because then you can continue biking and continue feeling good about biking in perpetuity. All right, so let's talk about lights, required lights. So you're required to have a front white light and then a back red light or reflector. Stanford has really great lights that we give out at events sometimes, and the red light is a little blinky light, red blinky light that can attach to your backpack or some other like part of your person. I actually attach it to the back of my helmet because my helmet has a little strip where you can put a light. So I really like that. Okay. You also need a red-white reflector on the rear wheel and then a yellow-white reflector on the front wheel. And these kinds of reflectors come stock with the bike, so usually will not need to go out and get them. They'll just come right with your bike. Also, yellow-white reflectors on the front and back of your pedal or your shoe. So all these things are technically required. The only things you'll have to really go out and buy are the rear light, the blinky light, and the white front light. So if you want any advice on what kind of lights, we're happy to include that in the Q&A document that we send out, or we can talk about it here, but there's lots of great models out there.
One question I did get about lights that I thought was really good to share is someone asked about the reflective strips that you can put on your wheels. I don't know if you've seen them, but you can add these strips on the wheels, and then when the wheel's spinning, it creates sort of a white glow. And someone asked if those were a substitute for reflectors. And I checked with public safety, and apparently the Department of Motor Vehicles, they're sort of slow in adopting new technology. Public safety said they most likely wouldn't cite you, but it's good to follow the laws just so you don't have to like argue like I can be seen, because they're going to go by what's on the book. So if for some reason you lose those yellow reflectors that attach to the spokes, any bike shop, has a box of free reflectors that they would gladly give to you.
Yeah, they just really want to keep you safe for sure. And the more the merrier is kind of my view on lights. Sometimes I double up on lights, honestly, or you can get really fun, what they're called monkey lights, which create patterns in your wheels as they spin. You can really go nuts here. So I think light up your bike is a good rule of thumb for sure.
Next up is roundabouts. We're going to show a couple slides about riding the right way. We have 6 roundabouts on the Stanford campus. And the data shows that riding in a roundabout is a lot safer for both motor vehicle drivers and for bicyclists. So you want to follow these steps. You want to remember to take up the whole lane. You want to yield to traffic and pedestrians. Enter when there is space to safely merge. You want to remember to ride counterclockwise always. And you have an option of to signal when you exit. It's not required, it's more of a courtesy. And if you remember that when you're in it, you own it, you're doing the right thing. So if cars are like, honking at you to get out of the way, you can take the whole lane. You just want to be safe. If you don't feel comfortable riding in the roundabout, that's okay too. You can dismount and walk your bike if you need to. You can walk your bike on the sidewalk and then start riding again after the roundabout. You can see the green travel line of the cyclist. So what you would do is just stay in the bike lane until you get to the sidewalk. You can dismount and then walk your bike across. It's a lot safer walking your bike across the crosswalk rather than riding it. You know, cars may not see you riding because you're sort of a blur. So for more visibility, safely walk your bike.
Awesome. So tip number 5 is just to be aware of your surroundings. You're not the only one on the road, so it really pays to know who else is there and to be aware of them. So we'll just go over some quick tips. So you might be on a multi-use path, like there's lots in Stanford where you'll encounter pedestrians and other cyclists. So make sure you're just sharing that space and communicating with other people who are using it. I like to make kind of an audible alert whenever I'm passing someone. I'll just say, hey, on your left, and then, you know, slowly and carefully pass them. Other people have bike bells. They use those. I think they're really useful. It kind of depends on whatever you want to do. You should be extra careful at intersections and driveways. These are the places where there are the most road users doing all kinds of different things at once. So for driveways, especially, cars will be pulling out and pulling in. They may not be checking for pedestrians or cyclists. So it's good to be defensive in those situations. Also, you know, intersections, we have people turning right, we have people turning left and going straight, we have pedestrians, cyclists, you know, now we have scooters and hoverboards and all kinds of things. So it's good to just really exercise caution. As Ariadne already mentioned, you should yield to traffic that's in the roundabout. So because there's lots on Stanford, you'll encounter them if you haven't already. But yeah, just make sure before you enter the roundabout and, you know, travel in the counterclockwise direction to make sure there's not a car, there's no other cyclists, no one in the roundabout. And then always look out for crossing pedestrians. Pedestrians are our most vulnerable road users. They have the least protection out of anyone. So they're also, you know, sometimes like older adults or children. So we really want to make sure to let them cross the street at crosswalks and stop behind the painted lines just to give them space and precedent.
Our campus planning department is really undertaking an effort to clearly define where bikes should ride and where pedestrians should walk. This is ongoing now, coming up La Swain to White Plaza. And the whole White Plaza area is being studied too, to determine how to control traffic. If you've been at White Plaza during normal times at high noon, there's a lot of people walking and riding, and there's a lot of people that aren't doing the right thing too. So there are plans underway to create safe passage for bikes. One of the best developments is the Jane Stanford Way. They've made totally car-free and Marguerite-free from Sarah to Galvez. So there's one stretch of road which is really nice, an east-west corridor to get safely across the campus.
Cool. Stanford's always at the cutting edge of everything, including their planning. So awesome.
Okay, obey signs, signals, and laws. Remember, bikes have to follow rules too. So we'll just quickly go through the rules of this, how to keep you safe. Follow all road signs and traffic signals. You want to stop at stop signs. We don't have the Idaho stop yet, where stop signs are treated as yield signs, but I did note that the California Bicycle Coalition, they did propose legislation again to pass it in California. So we'll see what the outcome of that is. Don't ride on sidewalks. Sidewalks are for pedestrians. You want to ride to the right of the road if you are slower than traffic. Ride with the flow of traffic, not against traffic. Anna mentioned all the details about using bike lights at night. Remember that headphones cannot cover both ears. We don't recommend listening to music and having headphones cover both ears. It's actually illegal to have both ears covered, but you can ride with one ear uncovered. And if you are going to listen to music, make sure your left ear is uncovered so at least you could hear traffic coming behind you. And then always keep at least one hand on the handlebar so you can have control of your bike. And then before you hop on your bike, always make sure your brakes work properly. You know, I've heard tales where someone disconnected their brakes and, you know, they get on their bike and they just assume that everything's okay. You know, when I go for a ride, I always make sure my tires are inflated, that my brakes work, and that my saddle is firmly adjusted. Those are a couple good tips just to check, quick safety check.
Awesome. Okay, so tip number 7, lock up your bike properly. So right now we're in the middle of a bike boom. In case you hadn't heard, everyone is riding their bikes. It unfortunately means in some urban areas, bike theft is going up. Like in New York, I think the numbers were something like 42% or 40-ish%. So that's bad. But if you lock your bike properly, you're going to avoid coming back and seeing that your bike has been stolen or something in your bike has been stolen. So we'll go over how to lock up your bike. So the first is to get a lock. We like the U-shaped lock. It's shown here. Kryptonite makes a really standard U-shaped lock. They're kind of the industry standard for that type of lock. But other types of locks will work. Just make sure they're actually sturdy. I have a really big chain lock. It's full-on metal chain link from my bike that I use that works great for me. Make sure to lock the frame and the wheel to the bike rack. So the front tire and the frame should be locked to the rack. And these are the kind of racks in the diagram that Stanford has all over campus. So they're really great. It makes it really easy for you to get both your front wheel and your frame within the U-lock and then around the rack part right there. Be sure not to lock your bike to signposts, poles, or railings. It just means that you might be in the way of pedestrians or sometimes the ADA access ramps. And it's not courteous. Public safety might come and impound your bike. And if you have it registered, they'll be able to contact you and let you know. But it's just avoid the hassle and make sure you lock it to an actual rack. Oh, so basically you can also, for extra security, lock your rear wheel using a cable. And it's shown right here that goes all the way around your rear wheel and then through the loop again. And then the other loop is attached to the U part of your lock. That will just help to make sure that no one steals your rear wheel or your wheel that is unlocked. Unfortunately, that is something that happens to people. Other things to consider, basically extra security measures, is a cable or chain lock that goes around your seat post and attaches to your frame. I actually have 2 of these on both my bikes because I got my seat stolen twice. And finally, after the second time, I was like, you know what? I think I'd rather just keep this safe. You can also use a skewer. So that will just go straight into your seat right there, and it'll lock it up and thieves won't be able to take it off really easily. The other thing you can do is put skewers in your quick releases on your wheels. So basically, the quick release makes it really easy when you get a flat to take your wheel off, remove the tube, patch it, put a new tube in, and put it back on. But if you're concerned about theft, maybe you live like me in San Francisco and you like to go to shows and bike home late at night, having locking skewers might actually be something that is a huge asset to you. And then if you're using a bike cage, Stanford has many bike cages. They're great to use, but just make sure you still lock your bike and lock your wheels, because you never know. It's an added extra security measure, but it's always good to be safe, in my opinion. So
one more tip about locking your bike, just make sure you don't leave any valuables on your bike. Like it's just enticing if you leave a little saddlebag that has a tube or minor tools. Just take everything off the bike when you leave. I know we have a lot of bike lights stolen on the campus. People feel, it's too much trouble to take them off, but it's just attractive to thieves or people that, are walking by. If it looks like it's easy to take, they're probably going to take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next one, number 8, use hand signals. So just like driving, you want to let others know where you are going. And some bikes do have integrated signaling on their bike, but it's probably expensive. So we're going to stick with basic hand signals. A left turn is pretty easy. You just extend your left hand out to indicate you're turning left. I usually always sort of look behind me quickly to see if there is traffic behind me and then make that left hand turn signal. There's two ways to make a right-hand turn. One is to raise your left arm upward with your palm facing the road ahead of you, or you can turn, you can just outstretch your right hand. Sometimes I sort of like tip my hand too and wave it to point to the direction I'm turning to. And it's just a matter of comfort level, which one you feel you have more control of your bike using. I like to signal that I'm stopping so that I let people know what I'm doing, especially if you have people riding with you in a group so they don't like crash into you. And it's just extending your left arm downward with your palm facing toward the rear. And then slowing down is that same sort of position with a more outstretched arm and just sort of waving a little bit that you're slowing down. And again, it's just indicating to people what you're doing. It's more a sign for courtesy and self-protection. And then remember, you want to signal before approaching intersections, changing lanes, or before stopping.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to talk about passing. So you know that other riders and even road users can be unpredictable, so just exercise caution when passing others. So we talked about this already, but definitely use caution at intersections. You always want to pass on the left. So I really like this diagram because it illustrates sort of a conundrum that a lot of cyclists face. So the cyclist in green is in the bike lane and they'd like to go straight, but the car in the red would like to turn right. So as you can see, there's a possible conflict that could occur. In order to avoid this, the cyclist is going to look over their left shoulder to make sure that the area behind them is free and clear, signal that they are going to merge left, look again just to like reconfirm that no one's there, and then merge into the traffic lane, continue straight. The car in the meantime will be able to make their travel pattern off to the right. And then the cyclist can continue going straight and then, you know, again, remerge back into the bike lane on the other side. So that's really the way I like to pass people is look, signal, look again, move, and then kind of the reverse direction on the other side. So we talked about doing a shoulder trek. Okay, so in a group ride, this is where you might be riding with other people. During COVID, we are proponents of biking, but doing it safely. So definitely wearing masks and like keeping 6 feet distance. Also like probably good to limit it to members of your household. Although I will admit I have been on like a couple group rides with like very select friends. So we are all masked up though. But anyway, you want to ride in a straight line just to make sure that other people, other riders, friends behind you, you know where you're going, are able to pass you if they want. There's lots of etiquette around group rides, but that's really the only thing you have to remember. And then just make sure to call out when you're passing someone, especially pedestrians who might get spooked on a trail with a bike that's going really fast, especially like e-bikes these days, they go really fast. So that's what you have to remember about passing.
And the last one is a ride like you drive. So if you think you are not just riding your bike, you're driving your bike, you get into the mindset that you follow all the rules of the road that a car would do too. You ride in the same direction as traffic. You maintain a safe speed for conditions. You don't ride on the sidewalks. You use bike lanes and multi-use paths when possible. Ride in a straight line, no swerving. And then keep both hands on the handlebars so you can make a quick stop. And if you just remember to be a courteous and respectful rider, I think it goes a long way in generating sort of goodwill among all road users, including people driving and people walking. You know, if you sort of take a Buddha approach that you're not in a hurry, and think of cycling as a way to just sort of calm your mind, pay attention to what's in front of you, because in today's, sort of harried world, you get distracted, and drivers really get distracted. I feel like people are more distracted than ever during COVID because they're thinking about so many different things. So just sort of take your time, be courteous, respectful, wave to motorists who let you have the right of way or give them the right of way and smile. I think it goes a long way.
Absolutely. I think we are at time, so I'm going to go over this recap really quickly. But so this is just a recap of our tips. Wear a helmet, register your bike, be visible at night, Ride a roundabout correctly. Be aware of your surroundings. Follow the rules of the road. Lock up properly, lock your bike properly. Use hand signals. Pass carefully. And finally, ride like you drive. And then I think we have a couple of resources we wanted to share
Right.
really quickly.
Thanks for joining us. We're going to send out a recap. We're going to send a link to the recording of the presentation itself. We'll send a short survey, and then a complete list of resources that will be helpful, and a Q&A of frequently asked questions from our other Bike 101 resources. We thank you for joining us. You can tell your friends we have another set of webinars coming up February 10th at 2 times 12 noon and 6 p.m. So thank you. Be safe out there. Hope to
Thanks.
see you back on campus soon riding. Thanks, Anna.
Thanks, R. See you later.